Hey everybody, welcome back to today's health tip. It's Melissa with The Good Company. Hope you are staying well. I wanted to touch base today on preparing for a doctor's appointment. It may be something that you've never given any thought to, um, or perhaps you have if you visited a new doctor and you've had to give them a health history. You've probably spent a little time contemplating what your health journey has looked like. And for anybody that has not contemplated it, this is a little wake-up call that it's time to start doing some health tracking, some very basic health tracking. We use that information, daily health tracking, to take to our doctor to report on how we've been feeling. I like to use a scale of 1 to 10, and I omit the number 7 so that I have to make a choice between a 6 and an 8 to rate my day every day on a scale of 1 to 10. My general well-being. I like to operate in the 8s and 9s. When I'm not feeling well, I tend to fall to the 6s, sometimes even the 5s on bad days. And it gives my doctor a sense of how I'm doing. I'm dealing with a chronic illness, right? So I am seeing doctors regularly, every month to every 3 months. And I use this metric to let them know how I'm doing. Another great point that you can capture in some sort of health journal. I just use a weekly planner that I bought at the pharmacy to track that daily score. And then I use the sections where you can write a little bit more about your day to track specific symptoms. And I tell my clients to pick between 3 and 5 symptoms that you're tracking. It might look like chronic pain, digestive complaints, and sleep are the big 3 for you. And if you watch how those track, you might be able to pick up um, some clues as to why you're feeling poorly on a certain day. For instance, 3 days in a row, I didn't sleep very well. I had very broken sleep. I was up in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, couldn't get back to sleep. And on the 4th day, I felt a health crash, right? That's an obvious tie-in. And when you look at things like that, perhaps you can look at dietary changes or getting more exercise and see for yourself how those changes that you're making in your daily habits, in your supplements, in your diet are affecting your health. But how we prepare for doctors' visits starts well before the doctor's appointment, right? It starts with this basic health tracking. And then I encourage everybody to write a 1-paragraph statement on how you've been feeling since your last doctor's appointment. For instance, I've noticed that my nausea and my fatigue have been a lot better. However, my joint pain has gotten worse and my headaches tend to flare around the time of my period, for instance, might be this paragraph that I come up with. And then I'll also write out a list of questions that I have for my doctor. I've been noticing that this has been happening. Could this be related to this new medication I'm taking? Or do you have any suggestions for foods to eat when I'm feeling nauseous in the morning? You know, your doctor might have some great tips on that. But if we don't make that list of questions, a lot of times we get into that doctor's office and recognize, guys, that the average doctor's appointment is 17.4 minutes. So in that time, a lot of information is flying. And if you don't have your questions at the ready that you've pre-thought of, there's a pretty big tendency that you're going to have that things are just going to fly right out of your brain. And you're going to leave that appointment only later to go home and realize, I forgot to ask the questions that were really important. Same thing with coming out of a doctor's appointment. I always encourage everybody to take a few minutes, whether that is in the doctor's waiting room or in your car, to just make a few notes about how the doctor's appointment went. I always take my notebook into the doctor's appointment. I oftentimes will make notes while my doctor is talking to me. Another great tip is to either bring somebody with you who can take notes for you if that's challenging for you, or simply to use the voice recording feature on your phone to record your doctor's appointment so that you can go back and review the information that was shared with you, because sometimes it is overwhelming. So that's just a little bit about preparing for a doctor's appointment, what I like to do, what works for my clients. And if you are coming up on a doctor's appointment, I would suggest you make some notes and ask some questions. We talk a lot about vitamin D levels here. That might be something that you want to get a baseline of. If you don't have a file started with basic blood work that you've had done when you are feeling well, that is called a baseline, and that is important to have in your health file. So Hopefully this will encourage you to start a health tracking notebook, to start a health folder for yourself where you can keep the records of appointments and blood work and labs as they get done. So that's it on doctor's appointments. I hope that helped.